Today we are going to be looking at how demand can change. How demand can change. Demand can change in really two different ways, but they sound very similar. They are very different things though, so need to pay attention. I'm going to emphasize a few things today that I would suggest you take note of. So, first thing is a change in quantity demand. Now, again, notice that this is in bold, this is in green. This is, so this is a term, okay? However, at the same point in time, notice that I underlined the word quantity, okay? The reason that is because there are two ways demand can change. The first one is a change in quantity demand. The second one is a change in demand. Sounds very similar, very different, okay? So we'll talk about this one first. So change in quantity demand is an increase or decrease in the quantity demand due to change in price. It's a movement along the demand curve. All right, big thing that I want you to notice, change in price, okay? That's huge. This is the only thing that changes when we have a change in quantity demand. Now, what this looks like is we start with our demand curve, and whenever I draw a demand curve, I would suggest you draw a demand curve. Okay, because it will help you later on when you look back at your notes and you're like, okay, change in quantity demand, you read the definition, you're like, okay, great, what does that mean? I don't get it. What? Okay, graphs are your friend, they will help you. Now, whenever you're drawing a graph, however, I put this up there, but it is not complete. You should always label your axes, okay? So again, the y-axis is always price and the x-axis is always quantity. Okay. So there's our price and quantity. Now, change in quantity demand, we are looking at a change in price, and as a result, our quantity changes. So all we're doing is that we're moving from point A, and maybe we say that this is price of 50 bucks, okay? Here's our quantity. I'm not even going to put numbers on there. I don't have to put numbers on there. Okay, and then we move to another point on the demand curve, and maybe this is $20. Okay, here's our quantity. What you will notice is that as our price changes, and we're going from point A to point B, our quantity changes. Okay, that's pretty easy, right? Because we already talked about with the law of demand. All we're saying is that with a change in price, our quantity demand changes. We're just moving up and down that same demand curve. So that's why I said it's a movement along the demand curve. We're just moving along that same demand curve. Okay, now, this is only a result of a change in price. We change anything else, and it's going to cause something else to change. Okay. I have to erase my notes. All right. Now, what causes a change in quantity demand? Why is it that we like lower prices? Well, there's one reason, is an income effect. The income effect is the idea that when you change the price of a product, you feel richer or you feel poorer, even though your income hasn't changed. Okay, so it's a change in the amount demanded because the buying power has changed. You can buy more, you can buy less when you change the price.
Your second slide.
Yeah. So what do we mean by this? Well, to give you an example, last week in here we talked about chilies, right? And so this is my chilies graph. Now, if you remember, when we talked about the demand for chilies, I gave you an income, right? How much was the income that I gave you? 50 bucks, right? Everybody had $50. Now, the income effect is not saying that has changed. I'm not changing how much money you have. However, I am looking at, as the price changes, what happens to my ability to buy stuff with this. Okay? So, for example, at point A, let's say that at point A we have the price of Chili's was $40. And let's say, I know that that was not true, but let's say at $40 I had 4 people willing to go to Chili's. Okay? But at point B, I had a price of $20 and I had 10 people willing to go to Chili's. Okay? Now, the income effect, what they're saying is that when the price is $40, if I go one time, I have $10 left to, whoops, sorry guys. Can't touch. Okay, I can go one time, if the price is $40, I can go one time to Chili's, and then I have $10 left over to go spend on something else. So let's say I go buy a $10 item. For my $50, I got 2 things, Chili's and the $10 item, that's it. However, when the price drops to $20, I can go to Chili's one time, and I have $30 left over, right? So I can go buy 3 $10 items. So I get 4 items for my $50. Gee, which price do you think I like better? The $20, because I get 4 things versus at $40, I only get 2 items. So all we're saying with the income effect is this idea that my money goes further when the price is lower. I like it more because my buying power has increased. I like that because I can go and buy more with my money. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay? So keep in mind though, this does not change. Our income does not change. I put our income in a box for a reason. We are not changing this. That stays in that box because if we change that, then it's become something else. Okay, we're not changing your income. We're just saying you feel richer or you feel poorer when the price changes. Okay, so that's the income effect. Ooh, boy. The other reason why price changes is the substitution effect. I forgot to animate. Substitution effect. By the way, this one up here will cause a change in quantity demand. You don't have to write that because you already have it. I'm just showing you that this is a continuation of what causes a change in quantity demand. You're on B. Okay? So you should have what causes a change in quantity demand? A, income effect. B, substitution effect. So again, substitution effect, okay, we're talking about why we like lower prices. So in this case, what we have going on is that we have a change in the amount demanded because you can buy a substitute product instead. You're comparing your product to a substitute product. So again, all we're talking about is why we like lower prices or why we don't like high prices. That's all we're talking about. We haven't changed anything else, just changing the price. So, if we go back to our Chili's graph, okay, there's our Chili's graph again, and I still have point A and point B, so at point A I have $40. At $40, 4 people will go to Chili's, and at $20, 10 people will go to Chili's. Now, as you can tell, because I forgot to animate it, substitute for Chili's. Some people might say that you could go to TGI Fridays instead. Similar kind of restaurant, right? Do you agree? Basically. They don't have the same exact things, but basically. Right? You could also put up Applebee's or any of those other places. But let's say that the price of Fridays is $30. Okay? The price of Fridays is $30, and we're not changing the price of Fridays. Okay? If we know the price of Fridays is frozen at $30, why do we not like point A?
So
it's more than $30, more than Chili or Fridays, right? So what we're saying is that we don't like point A because it's more expensive than Fridays. I see Chili's at $40 and I said, hey, I can go to Fridays and I only spend $30, right? But at $20, why do we like $20 at Chili's better? It's cheaper than TGI Fridays, okay? So again, all we're doing is we're explaining why we like lower prices. So for the Substitution effect, okay? Cheaper prices are better than their substitutes prices. Okay, so we like the $20 price better than TGI Friday's $30 price. Okay, now again, keep in mind, and I literally did this for a reason, the visual of having the substitute price in a box. Okay, this is in a box. I'm not changing the price of Fridays. All I'm changing the price of is Chili's. Okay, because I'm talking about the demand for Chili's. I'm looking at the price of Chili's. I'm changing the price of Chili's. I am not dealing with the price of Fridays yet. Okay, as long as the only thing we are changing is the price of Chili's, we are still talking about a change in quantity demand. Okay. All right, now I will tell you right now, these are the two things that people get so confused on when it comes to demand: income effect and substitution effect. Okay, so I'll ask now if you have questions, but I can guarantee you probably won't have any questions now, but you probably will later. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about income effect, substitution effect right now? Anything that we're fuzzy on? All right, we'll see what we have to say later.